Hey there, I'm Paige from MemberSpace. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to broadcast your expertise with a members-only podcast. Together, we'll walk through the steps you'll take to protect your podcast with MemberSpace and add a purchase link to your website. There are a couple of different ways you can protect a podcast with MemberSpace. Your first option is to create a private podcast within a podcasting tool such as Transistor or Castos. Your second option is to host the recording directly on your website. In this tutorial, we'll briefly cover both so you can choose which is best for you. If you'll be hosting your podcast directly on your website, your first step is to create a customers-only product page on your website where they can access your private podcast. You can either add all of your podcast episodes to one page or create a separate page for each episode. Once you've created the podcast page or pages on your website, you can protect them with MemberSpace. If you're using a podcasting tool, you'll simply add a link to your podcast in this step so members have easy access. In your MemberSpace account, head over to Products in the left navigation and click Add Product. Select Podcast from the drop-down and give your product a name. If you'd like, you can select an emoji to represent this product in your member menu. If your podcast is on your website, protect your first page by clicking On My Website. If you're using a podcasting tool, click an external link instead. Here, you'll enter a title for one of the podcast pages on your website or for your external link. This title is how the page or link will appear in your member menu, which is how customers will navigate your content. You can select a different emoji or remove it from your title altogether. Then, enter the URL. If this is a page on your website, you only need to enter the slug. But if it's an external link, enter the full URL. Be sure the toggle under Member Menu is turned on, and determine when the protected page or link should be available to members by clicking the link under Availability. Repeat this process to protect additional podcast pages or add additional links if applicable, and click Add Now at the bottom. If you're using a podcasting tool, you can skip ahead to the step where we create a plan. Otherwise, you'll upload your podcast recording to MemberSpace via our Content Links feature to protect the audio file. This helps to ensure your content can only be accessed by customers who have purchased the podcast directly or have been given access as part of a membership. In your MemberSpace account, navigate to Content Links in the left menu and click Add Content Links. From there, upload your podcast file, configure a few simple settings, and add the content link to your website. Using content links gives you access to additional analytics like the total number of views per content file, as well as which members have viewed and or downloaded any of your content. Repeat this step for each podcast episode you want to protect. Then, you'll create a plan that will grant access to your podcast. This step is necessary whether you're using a podcasting tool or are hosting the recordings on your own website. To do this, head over to Pricing in the left navigation and click Create Plan. First, decide how you'd like to sell access to your podcast. Generally, podcasts are sold via recurring payment because you continue to offer ongoing content for ongoing payment. If you offer other digital content in addition to your podcast, you can sell different tiers of access by creating multiple plans and differentiating which plans have access to additional content. Fill out the plan details including price and frequency. Under which products can be accessed, be sure to select the podcast product you previously added. Once you've configured the plan settings, click Create this plan at the bottom. If you're using a podcasting tool, you'll need to connect it to MemberSpace via Zapier. But if you're hosting your podcast directly on your website, you can skip this step. There are a couple of different things you'll need to set up to ensure a seamless connection. First, make sure any new members get access to your podcast. When a new subscriber joins one of your plans, they're granted access to your private podcast on the platform you've recorded it. Second, make sure any canceled members lose access. When a subscriber cancels, their access should be removed. Now that you've protected your podcast and created a plan that grants access, you can grab the plan's sign-up link and add it to your website. Here's an example of a pricing page on a website. We've linked the plan's sign-up link to a button on this page. When a website visitor clicks Sign Up, they'll be able to create an account, join the plan we just set up in MemberSpace, and get access to your private podcast. You're all set! Start sharing your knowledge through your very own private podcast.